Everybody agrees that Power Platform has a lot of admin and governance features, but do you ever feel like it takes a PhD to understand them all? Well, now managed environments make new administrator visibility and control features just one click away. See how to get started by clicking that one button on this PowerCat Live. Welcome to PowerCat Live. My name is Phil Topness of the PowerCat team, and today we're here with Zohar and Evan from the Power Platform team. Hey, guys.
Hey, Phil. Thanks for having us.
Excited to be here.
I'm glad you're here. So talk a little bit about managed environments. What are these?
The key feedback we've been hearing over the last few semesters from customers is that you really need a PhD in Power Platform administration and really strong expertise in Azure Admin Center and access control expertise and a lot of things that you need to go handle. And we've been this year starting a new effort all around simplicity. How can we make you light up all that goodness with a click of a button? You flip a switch, you control a set of settings, and it's right there, enabling you to get a lot more visibility, a lot more control on what's going on, and then with a lot less effort. For more visibility, we're starting the journey by giving you proactive notifications. So once you enable an environment, you now get proactive notification in the form of email to the administrators.
Nice.
And that lets you see things like what are the most active assets in that environment. You get to make decisions based on assets that are not being used, so you could go and delete them. And we will continue that journey and give you recommendations on things that you can do. In the first release, it will be email. In future releases, we already have a few ideas on how to make those proactive notifications show up in all the places that you need them. On the control front, we're starting with giving you a little bit more control at the environment level. Things like controlling the ability of makers to share across the organizations, but I want them not to share it with security groups that are the entire company, for example. So, IT doesn't feel uncomfortable with the results of what people are building. IT could then say, I do not want you to share with more than 20 people, or pick a number that suits that specific environment. We're giving you more visibility to the data loss prevention policies or data policies that are done on that environment. So you could actually, for the first time, once you manage the environment, you could easily see, here's all the DLP policies that are applicable on this specific environment.
And I could see why you started with those features, because those are a lot of the things that we hear enterprises asking for, right? So it makes sense. And the fact that you can turn it on with one button, that is less effort. So, Evan, we could have done a lot of this before, right? With the CoE Starter Kit, or with some things in the Power Platform Admin Center, or through integrating with Azure. Talk a little bit about how we got to making it so easy.
Yeah, let me give you some of the origin story here for managed environments. We've known from customers that governance is critical for them to scale low code in the enterprise. But we also heard from customers that it's a lot of work to implement. When you're setting up a new environment, you've got to make sure you've got the right permissions, the right auditing, the right reports, the right data policies, and that takes time and it requires real expertise. And so we really wanted to provide capabilities that streamline, simplify, and really automate where we can a lot of these responsibilities. And so as an example, with the admin email digest, you can today kind of do it yourself. You can set up your own data lake, you can install the Center of Excellence Starter Kit, you can dig through the reports to find out which apps and flows haven't been used in a while. But with managed environments, it's just that much simpler. With the flip of a switch, you can get those proactive notifications. With the sharing controls, you can sort of do it yourself again with reactive governance. You can identify the apps that are shared beyond the blast radius. But with managed environments, we're trying to make it that much easier. So that's a bit of how these things fit together.
So I've got to ask the question, and you can stop typing it in the comments. I'm going to ask about licensing now. Is there an additional license for this? It sounds pretty great.
Yeah, great question, Phil. So we built managed environments for organizations that are all in on the Power Platform. And so for these customers, managed environments is a benefit of existing standalone Power Apps and Power Automate licenses that they may already have. There's no extra license or extra SKU that's required. So the way it works is when you activate managed environments, all the apps and flows in that environment become premium. So any user who runs an app or flow in that environment will need standalone Power Apps or Power Automate license. And pay-as-you-go licenses work here as well. So we think it really is a great added benefit of that standalone license. So on top of the ability to use premium connectors and Dataverse, you also get managed environments.
And we're talking about governance here, and we can't talk about governance without talking about the default environment, right? That's one of the ones that our customers that we talk to want to control the most. Should this be turned on in the default environment?
If you have licenses for your users in default, absolutely. The default environment really is where a lot of customers see themselves getting the most value out of managed environments. It's the environment where often the most usage is happening, where you're experiencing a lot of app sprawl. Everyone has access to it. And so this ability to add sharing limits, like Zohar mentioned, is going to be hugely valuable in default. The ability to get visibility into stale apps and flows that haven't been run in a while will be really valuable. So we think it'll be really useful in default.
And so the question is, this seems pretty great, right? It sounds pretty great. Why wouldn't I want to just turn it on the entire tenant? Why is it managed environments and not managed tenant?
In order to enable it to all customers, you just scope it to a specific environment. So you take a department, for example, of your organization, you move them to a managed environment. This would be their shared environment where all the makers could come to life and build all their assets there and share those assets with employees in their organization. And you will need to cover the premium licenses for that specific department. If you already have, wall-to-wall coverage of all the employees in your organization, you could definitely enable it. Even today, on all the environments in your organization, you could do that via the UX, or we would give you PowerShell to do that. You could already trigger that automatically. So these are great capabilities. We're trying to cater it to everyone.
That makes sense. So you've got options if you do want to turn it on tenant-wide through other automation. And then everyone who's out there watching right now, right? These are typically people that work on a large enterprise and are working on large Power Platform implementations. How are you seeing the large enterprises you're working with using managed environments, or even Microsoft?
Customers that we've talked to have loved the idea of not needing to go spend an army of people to manage low-code environments, and then not necessarily needing to download and install the CoE toolkit and keep updating it. Like having a lot of that out of the box and all that richness is something that we've heard loud and clear. And just getting more control on, as an IT administrator, on who can share, how broad they could share, and just getting visibility to everything that is going on with your low-code assets. That has been super exciting. For Microsoft IT, for example, that are our first ring of adopters, just our own company's IT organization, they are waiting for us to enable that on their tenant. And now that they have it, they use the capabilities to control who can share and put limits on the number of people per environment that an asset could be shared with. That gives them the comfort that the right things are happening, and they could sleep better at night, knowing that people are following the guidance of the company.
They're not going to sleep great, but they'll sleep better. I've got to ask you, so a few times you have each mentioned PowerCat CoE Starter Kit. Manuela, my fellow cat, is a friend of PowerCat Live. Is your intent to put Manuela out of a job? Let's hear it once and for all.
Absolutely not. We love Manuela. She's actually been instrumental in helping us plan and define what features go into managed environments. And for many customers, the Center of Excellence Starter Kit is going to be incredibly useful, even alongside managed environments. There are many great features in it that you don't get with managed environments. Now, over time, we will be looking to bring some of the key capabilities in that CoE Starter Kit into the product. We want to make it easier, simpler if it's built into the product versus requiring it to be installed. But there are no plans for the CoE Starter Kit to go away. But we're always looking for feedback. Which features do you love in the Starter Kit that you want in managed environments, or even features not in the Starter Kit today? We'd love to get your feedback on how we can iterate, improve, and continually add value to managed environments.
Well, I'm glad to hear Manuela's job is safe. And it is true in the platform, you can do things proactively, where in the CoE Starter Kit, right, we often have to be reactive. So that is a huge advantage. And so if someone wants to give it a shot, it sounds like a great feature and easy to turn on. where do they go?
So you can just go to the Power Platform Admin Center, look for the little Manage Environments button there, turn that on, and maybe a small environment to evaluate it, kick the tires. You can play with the sharing limits and start getting the admin digest. We're just starting this journey. We'll be adding more value over time. We'd love to hear your feedback in the comments here as we sort of are on this journey to make it easier for admins to get more visibility, more control with less effort.
That sounds fantastic. So you heard what Evan said. If you want to talk to Zohar and Evan and their teams, leave a comment below. Thank you guys for being here. This is a great feature.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks for having us.